Okay, good afternoon, class. So today in my English class, we are going to study about certain rules that we use for reporting certain events or happenings in our day-to-day life, conversations, emails, or you can say when we tell something that describes an event, when we are describing. So there are certain rules that we use to report something. So this topic is on direct and indirect speech. Now, direct and indirect speech is the more you use, the more you better you get hang of it. So, but as a beginner, we need to know certain rules that we use to change from direct and make it modify it to indirect speech. So for that, let me begin with what you know about what is actually direct speech. Does anybody know what is direct speech? Anybody?
Um,
Any idea what is direct speech?
um, Direct speech, I think, is meeting face to face, and indirect is like texting, GIF, call.
Okay, so let me explain you with a little bit of, I'll share my whiteboard and then we will discuss what is direct and indirect speech. Okay. So if you can see the screen, then there are two ways of saying what happened. To, there are two ways of speaking or telling what happened, okay? And the first one is direct. Now, what is direct speech? They are the actual words of the speaker. So, uh, when I talk about the actual, that means the exact words of the speaker. For example, just now I spoke that good afternoon, children. Today in my English class, I am going to teach you certain rules for changing or describing an event or reporting a speech. So these are my actual words, my real words of the speaker. Now, if you have to go and tell that to somebody else, then you will not use it exact. That is called indirect. So that means you are describing what I spoke to someone else, and that the event is already happened, so it is of the past, and you are going to tell. So we need to change certain things. Now, very important for that, we need to know certain rules for that. Okay, so let me show you that in direct speech are the real or the exact words of the speaker. um, they are put exactly the same way. We don't make any changes, and they are enclosed in quotation marks or speech mark. Now, what is a quotation mark? This is like a inverted comma on top, like a 66, and on the other side you have closed inverted commas like a 99. These are also called speech marks. We also call them quotation marks. Now, here, in this example, John said, I like ice cream. This is the speaker here is John, and these are his real words. These are his direct words, actual words. John said, I like ice cream. And you see, they are these this is part of the sentence. Is we have to focus here on, this is called reported verb. RV, reported verb. And this is your reported speech. Okay, so that means the speech that is being said, these are the actual words of John. This is the reported speech. Okay, these are the real words of John. Now, uh, the words that are put inside the speech marks or quotation marks are the reported speech. Okay, and the word that you see outside the verb is reported verb. For example, John said, John told, John says. You can say also use the present verb. You can also use the past verb. John tells. Okay. Now, in these, what verb do you find in the reported speech? What verb do you find? What verb do you see? Verb. Come on. Is there
Like.
any verb? Yes. You should be able to identify the verb immediately. We have the verb like. Yes. Very good. You should be able to do that. We have used a verb like over here, and we have a helping like a not a main verb said over here. This is the reported verb. Now, another example, Mary said, I am wearing a red skirt. These are actual words of the speaker, Mary's words. As it is, no change. Exactly the same way. They are put under speech marks or quotation marks, also we call them. So, Mary said, I am wearing red skirt. What is the verb over here used?
Wearing.
Very good. This is in continuous. Okay. Now, the teacher said, I like French fries. What verb I have used here? Reported. Which is the reported verb?
Like.
Like. Very good. No, reported verb I said. Please remember,
Said.
I'm going to use this
Said.
word very often. So you have to be confident. I will use this term quite many times. Reported verb is said. Very good. And what is the main verb over here in the sentence? Like. In the sentence
Like.
you see like. Okay. Father told me I have an important meeting next week. Reported verb. Told. Yes. And do you find any verb in this? I have an important meeting next week. Do you see any verb? Hmm? Verbs.
No.
Have is it? Have is a verb. Come on. You forgot? Have is an action. Okay. I have an important meeting. Have is an action. This is the verb. Now, why I am first explaining you, trying to ask you to identify these, because I'm going to very often use them. So you should be familiar with it. Now, next sentence. She said, I live in Bali, Indonesia. Now, reported verb is said. And where is the verb in the sentence?
In the sentence, live.
Yes, very good. So in the sentence, you will see live is the verb. It's a verb that has been used. Now, she says, I'm a little bit nervous. Reported verb says. And
M is the
very good. We have used an auxiliary verb here. Am. Very good. So that in direct speech, we keep the tense same. We don't change the tense. For example, we say like let's say for example, a little while ago, Taran told me, ma'am, I need to set an alarm for 20 minutes. So this is not my words. These are Taran's word. So how do I put it in direct speech? In direct speech, I will say like this. Taran said, I am going to set an alarm for 20 minutes. So these are actual words of the Taran, but I'm telling what Taran said. So I am using his exact words. So in direct speech, you use exact words of the speaker. You don't change the tense. This is important, and they are enclosed in quotation mark. Is that clear so far? Do you want to? Do you have any questions? Please ask before I move forward. We keep the tense same as it is shown, as it is enclosed in quotation marks or speech marks. You know, sometimes I will be using the term speech mark, and many times I will use the term quotation mark. Okay. Now let's move ahead. Now you will see, you will notice something. You notice some, yes.
So Mary is like the speaker, ma'am?
Yeah, Mary is the speaker. Yes, Mary is the name of the girl. She says, "I am wearing a red skirt." Yes, those are her actual words. She's speaking in direct. The direct speech, or she's using her exact words, or the actual words. Okay, it's just like a conversation. Let's say, for example, someone asked her, "What are you wearing?" And she said, "I'm wearing a red skirt." So those are her actual words. She has used this in a conversation. These are her actual words. Got it, Rajendra?
Yes.
Okay. Now, before I go ahead, I want to clarify one important thing over here, which you need to make a note of. You will see that sometimes the sentence says that Mary said, "I am wearing a red skirt." Here, Mary is written, the part of the this part which is not inside the quotation mark is comes in the beginning of the sentence. If this part comes in the beginning of the sentence, then we put a comma outside the quotation mark. There is a small comma to separate the reported verb from the sentence, from the reported speech. This is the reported speech. This is the reported speech. So to separate this, what have we used? What did we use to separate it? A small comma, and this has been separated, and this has been put enclosed inside a quotation mark. Okay.
Quotation.
So this comma is put outside, but let me show you another with an example over here. I will use the text box and let me see if I can do it. Okay, yeah, I can write over here. Okay, now if I say this sentence can be also said as like this. I am wearing a red skirt, right? Close inverted comma. Then you will say, comma, said Mary. Said.
Oh yeah, that's still the same.
Said Mary. So it's still the same, but you will find these such sentences in two forms. One is when the reported speech is in the quotation mark comes in the beginning of the sentence, and in some sentences you will see it comes in the end. So when it comes in the end, then the comma is also, this is wrong. Comma shouldn't be outside. It should still be inside the speech marks, not outside. Okay, the comma goes inside the speech mark. Okay, so this is separating the sentence. Now you get it? Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be mindful of this difference. But when you have John said, look at this example. John said, where is the comma? It is outside the speech mark. You notice over here the difference? It is outside. Sorry. Outside the speech mark. Yeah. And here it is inside the speech mark, inside the quotation mark. So this is, you have to be mindful of that. So let's change the other sentences over here. The teacher
I like French fries.
Okay, I like, very good. Inside quotation marks, I like French
fries.
fries.
The teacher said.
Close inverted comma. And where will the comma come?
Comma.
Very good. And close
Inside
inverted comma. And then you say, said the teacher,
the teacher said.
Yeah. The teacher, or said the teacher. said
Teacher.
The teacher.
teacher. Very good. Yes, full stop. Now, you notice that this is also correct and both are correct. They are, you can have the reported sentence in the beginning and the reported verb comes later, or you can have the reported verb in the beginning and the reported sentence later. So we use both the form. Now the rest we will do orally, so that we can catch up with the rules, because this is, we are still talking about the direct speech and how are we going to change it. So we have to know a lot of rules. Now, father told me I have an important meeting next week. Can you change it and put it in the other form?
I have
Very good.
an open quotation. An open.
Okay, I have an important meeting next week, and then said, father told me. Father, and then followed by father told me. Next sentence, please. Somebody?
I live in
One of you?
Indonesia.
Indonesia.
Okay.
She said.
She said.
Okay, so yes, she said. Now, please be mindful that you use, be mindful of the commas. The comma is the separator. Okay. Now, she says, I'm a little bit nervous. Change this, Valerie, please, one at a time, not all together. Valerie.
I am a little bit nervous.
Yes.
She says.
Said, yeah, she says, I'm a little bit nervous. Good. So the sentence will come. Now, one more thing, if you notice, is that there is a very important role of this comma. What does this comma tell us in this direct sentence? What does it tell us?
To have a pause.
Sorry? That,
to have a pause.
of course, we use comma as a pause, but it has not been used as a pause over here. It has a different purpose. Do you know what is the purpose of this comma?
To separate.
To separate.
To separate the reported verb from the reported speech. I told you this part of the speech. This part of the speech is the reported sentence, and this is the reported verb. So to separate this, we use a comma. Okay, and this is put under quotation mark. Clear? You get it? Okay. Now, so we keep the tense same. We don't change the tense. That we don't change it from present to past to future in this. Now, moving ahead, let me go to the next part, and that is on how do we do the rules now to change from direct to indirect. Now, what is indirect speech? Any guesses? Now you know direct speech. What is indirect?
The opposite.
But
Like,
how? Can you explain it?
Give me an example. So like,
yeah.
So like Mary said I'm wearing a red shirt. So you can also say Mary was wearing a skirt.
Well, you are telling some. Okay, now you are close but not exact. So when we when we tell someone else what Mary said or John said or the teacher said or the father told me, and we are telling somebody else, we use we need to make few changes to tell the same message. The message doesn't change. Of course, we are going to say the same message, but we report it, and that is called the reported speech, or those are not the actual words of Mary. Because Mary says, I am wearing a red skirt. But what if you have to tell me what Mary was wearing? How will you tell me, Taran? Try that. Mary was wearing a red skirt. Tell me.
Mary.
Yes.
Ma'am, someone's knocking on my door. Sorry, ma'am.
Okay, yes. Go ahead and please be back, okay? Yes. So, anybody else would like to try? How would you tell me if what Mary was wearing? So we use,
She was wearing a red skirt.
well, you have to put it in the proper format. When you now, I do not know who was wearing, so you have to tell it in a proper way. I don't know who you are talking about, right? So you are telling me about Mary. So how are you going to put it? So for that we use indirect speech, or which is also called reported speech. What do we use for reported speech or indirect speech? When we report or we tell, not the actual words, but the words which are not our own words, but the message is the same, but you need to talk about something that happened and you are telling someone. Okay, so let's go to the next slide and we will talk about what is indirect speech, and there are what are the rules for indirect speech. Okay, let's go ahead. Now, indirect speech or reported speech, we use indirect speech for reporting words spoken by someone, like, for example, John, Mary, the teacher, and you tell what someone told you. While reporting others' exact word, we make three important changes. Now, here comes the rule. Pay attention. I will give you time to note down. I will give you some notes. So you need to focus first. Okay? You can note it down later on. I have my, I have also certain notes for them. I have prepared for you. So I want your attention, please, Rajendra. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, uh, while reporting, when you tell someone that something happened or you describe an event, you use reported speech, which is normally used by a lot of events. Like we describe certain things, we send an email, we said describe certain things which happened in the past, or journalists use it very often because they have to report on the events that happened. Okay, they use it in journalism. You see a lot of reported speech. Then we use it in a day-to-day conversation. Mother said, for example, let's say, for example, let me give you an example over here. I uh, the teacher said, I want to meet your parents. Now these are my words, and I'm your teacher, so I'm just saying, I want to meet your parents. When you go home, right, and you go and tell your parents, what are you going to say? So you will not say, the teacher said, the teacher said, I want to meet your parents. You have to make small modifications to tell what I told you. Okay, so for that we need to make small minor changes. And how do we make those changes? So let's go one by one. There are many rules. We cannot have all the rules in our mind, so we will learn slowly, and then with practice and usages, as much as you use, you will get better and better. But as a beginner, we have to learn certain basic rules, not all the rules. Otherwise, direct and indirect speech has n number of rules. So let's go with change in the pronoun. So now the pronouns are like I, we, you, me, they, he, she, it. So the pronoun changes in reported speech. Then we have to change the tense. If the reported verb is in the past, then the tense changes. But if the reported verb is in the present or future, we don't change the tense. So we change the tense according to the reported verb. If the reported verb is in the past, like example said, then the tense will change in the sentence, the reported speech. Then we change the time and place expression. For example, when it happened or where it happened. When you have those kinds of sentences, every sentence will not have time and space, place expression. But if there is a time and place expression, then that will also change in indirect speech. So now let's follow the rules How do we change a direct speech from indirect speech? Rule number 1. Words of the speaker or reported speech is not enclosed in quotation marks. Now we get rid of quotation marks. So this is a direct speech. The teacher said, I want to meet your parents. This is direct, spoken directly. Here, this is my speech. Uh, this is the reported speech and this is the reported verb. So this is enclosed in inverted comma. Now, when you change it to indirect speech, what will you get rid of? What are you going to get rid of? Come on.
The quotations.
Yes, the quotation marks. The quotation marks will go away, and this will be gone, and we will make a small change over here. And let's see that small little change that we are going to make. So let me take over here. Oh, sorry. Undo. Okay. The teacher said, now there is a small comma, the separator, the one that separates the speech, the reported speech from the reported verb. This comma, the teacher said, in place of this comma, we are going to put that. Now this that is also optional. I will tell you when to use and when not to use. Usually you can use it all the time, but if you want, you can avoid this also. That the teacher said that I becomes she. She wanted to meet your becomes my parents. So what are the changes we made here? Pay attention. We made a few changes. Let's see the changes. The first thing which went away was comma. In place of comma, we put that. Then second change was I became, because the teacher is female, so I became she.
She.
Okay. If the teacher is male, what will the I become?
He.
Very good. He. Yes. Now there is a verb over here, want. Now we have to make it to back shift this verb and make it into past tense. So the verb became wanted. What did we change the verb to? Past tense. From present
Wanted.
we make it to past. So the tense of the verb changed. Okay. Now you will notice that that usually in formal use, when we use is for formal, we use it with a that. Like for example, if you are saying telling somebody and then whom you do not know and you want to be a little bit formal, then you use that. But if you're talking to your parents, you can even say, my teacher said she wanted to meet my parents. So that is optional. So you will always find that the use of that, in many cases you will see we can use it and we can also not use it. But the correct way is to use that. But the in informal, like supposing you are telling somebody who you are very familiar with and you're informal with, like your parents, your friends, you don't if you want, you can avoid the use of that. So you can also say the teacher said that she wanted to meet my parents. So that is gone. So now what other change we did? We removed the quotation mark. Now this became into indirect speech. Why it became into indirect? Because these are not the actual words that I spoke. My actual words was I want to meet your parents. And here the actual words have been changed. They have been modified to she wanted. You are telling someone what I told. So you have changed it into, you made 3 changes. Now let's move on to rule number 2. we use that in place of comma, formal use. Now, he said, I write a letter. This is direct speech. He said, I write a letter. Now, what are the changes you are going to do over here? Said in place of comma is gone. What will you put? You put that. The comma is gone. And what other change did you make over here? You used, instead of I, speech marks are gone, quotation marks are gone. Instead of I, what did you change it to? Come on. He.
That.
He.
Where that?
So that shows that it is some male or a boy saying that thing. So he write, and write becomes, yes, and write becomes past tense, wrote. Now, why did it change? Why did we have to change the tense of the verb over here? Because our reported verb is in the past. If the reported verb is in the past, you need to change this into past. You make the verb into past. From write, it will become wrote. But if the reported verb is in the present or future, we don't change the verb. We keep it same. Clear? Yeah. You know, you will get the hang of it slowly. Sometimes it sounds that it's very difficult. It is actually difficult, but then we try and use it, and then slowly, as a beginner, we will understand and we will get to know it. Now let's take rule number 3. The verb tense changes in reported speech. She said, I'm watching a movie. Now we hear the verb are we. Reported verb is said. So in place of, uh, it's a girl now. So she said that. The comma is gone. In place of comma, what did we put? That.
That.
Okay. Now, I'm watching a movie. She said. So when you change what is this is the contraction over here. You have already studied about contraction. In place of I'm, what will you use? It's, yeah, no.
am.
Yes. So I am means I am, the full form. This is the contract. So that means in place of I am, you will change it to she was. Am will change to was. Okay. I changes to she, pronoun changes, and am changes to was. Watching a movie. Here we are changing this verb. Why? Because this becomes past continuous. We are changing the verb was. Okay. She said that she was watching a movie. Got it? Okay. Let's move to another example. Yes.
Ma'am?
Yeah. Rule 4.
Almost time.
Yes.
Why don't we change
The watching word,
why
right?
don't we change
Yeah.
the watching?
Yeah, because that's in continuous. The action is happening. So we don't need to change that verb. We will change, if you change is at she said that she watched a movie. That means the action you are changing the tense. I am not saying that I watched a movie or I watch a movie. I am saying that I am watching. That means the action is still happening. I am still watching. So you have to also say that she said that she was watching a movie. Okay. If you change the watch, then the sense will change. You don't have to change the sense. The message doesn't change. Only you are reporting it to someone, and then you have to make few modifications. One is the pronoun changes. If the time verb place is there, that changes. And second, the thing is the tense changes of the verb that is showing the action. Okay. Now, rule 4, if the reported verb is in the present or future, then there is no verb change in the reported speech. Okay. So what is the fourth rule? That we Our reported verb is, as I told you, we don't make any changes if it is in the future, okay, or present. That means if it was here, she says, I am watching a movie, then you will make it into indirect. You will say, she says that she is watching a movie, not was watching a movie. Okay, we will